morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're so excited today to welcome you on the special webinar where we are about to dig into the capabilities of visual business intelligence with Synoptix software, and Robby Hilder is with us. But before we get started, I want to take a moment to acknowledge a significant milestone for us, for our company. This year, in 2024, marks 50 years of our company being in business, and we are incredibly proud of the partnership we have built over these years and of the trust you have placed in us. And we want to thank our dedicated workers and business partners and the clients to make us premier ERP implementation and evaluation partner of Infor in Western Canada and Western US. And today we are here together with Robby Hilder, and we will talk about business intelligence, which can be integrated with Infor Visual. So you will learn how to make your financial data more readable, accessible, and actionable. And welcome again, Robby, and you can start whenever you're ready.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on that milestone, by the way. That is fantastic. And we can certainly vouch on the partnership side what great partners Infor has been over the years, and the ESS team here. So working with you guys has been fantastic. And so thanks everyone for joining. Excited to kind of show you what the tool has to offer, whether it's something you've used before or not. My name is Robby Hilder. I have been with the company about 11 and a half years, and I head up the training and consulting group. So we are the ones that help people be successful with the software and implement it, and then help train and consult kind of moving forward. So some of you may or may not know that we are actually a full FP&A tool. And so while today we are going to be focusing mainly on the financial reporting side of things, that certainly is not what you're limited to. We do certainly support, corporate KPIs, such as, high-level dashboards that will show those KPIs, which I'll show you in a little bit here. Revenue forecasting. Now, we do also report outside the general ledger. So when we say operational planning here, really that's what we're referring to is things like, sales orders, purchasing, inventory, that sort of thing, which we also can report off of visual there. We also support consolidations, different scenario planning, and these are just shortcuts that we're going to be able to set up on a user-by-user basis to their favorite reports. So for me, on the financial reporting side, one of my favorite reports here is my income statement that I can then apply different departmental filtering to. And this is just one example of how we could build a particular report. So just giving us a high-level view of our sales, our product revenue, service revenue, and other, both our actual numbers, budget numbers, and the variance, and we can do year-to-year comparisons there. This is highly customizable as well. So if we wanted to add some sales rows or some expense line items, we can easily do that. And this is what I would call kind of the high level view. One of the advantages is being able to drill down into these numbers to really see what makes up the numbers here. So the first thing we're going to see broken out by our different departments are our actual numbers here and the accounts that make those up. We can then go to the financial statement line item details to see the specific accounts that in this case make up our product sales. And if we keep going, we're going to go down to the GL transaction detail level, which will give us things like, the posting period, year, our source module, etc. We can also drill from here directly into visual. If there is supporting documentation, images, etc., we are able to drill down all the way into visual. A couple of other cool things that we can do from this report is we have a conversation tool. So let's say we did have a question around one of these numbers. We can simply right click on that number, and we're going to start a conversation here. So let's pick this one here. And let's start a conversation, and we could say, why so low? We can have an initial statement. We can upload files, whether that's a PDF, Excel, any image, and then we can invite people to that conversation, and that will automatically send them an email. And then those are stored here in the database, so we can go back and we can look at those at any date and time to see what was going on around cost of goods sold, variable cost, whatever it may be. The other nice thing is we only need to build a report once and we can make it filterable. So that's what we've done over here on the left is I have filtered this by department. So now we can look at this with every department rolled up together, or we can break them out individually, corporate, manufacturing, control, etc. If we don't want to see these conversations on the report, if they're a distraction, we can also hide those, and then those won't be a distraction as we're looking through these. Now, this is a direct connection to Visual. So if we were to add an account to Visual, etc., and rerun this report, these numbers will reflect that. So it is a real-time connection. However, there's nothing you can do in our software that's going to change or manipulate the data on the visual side of things. We are simply just running queries in the background and then returning those results. So let's now take a look at a different type of financial statement. So this would be a actual versus budget income statement. So on this one, we have broken it out by month, and we could do as many months as makes sense. We're going to see our actual sales and expenses for each month, the budget, and any variances. And this is going to have that same drill down capability that we saw earlier, where we can see all the accounts that make this up and get all the way down to that GL transaction detail level. That functionality is embedded into any of the reports that we're going to be looking at. Now, a common question is, okay, this is the finished versions. How do you build these things, and what is the work kind of involved in building financial statements? So I want to show you and spend just a little bit of time here in the interface of our designer screen, which is really kind of the work of building reports. So let's look at the one we were just looking at, product sales. There's a couple of ways you can start building reports. You can do what I just did and type in some literal text. We can also import an existing spreadsheet, which is my preferred method because that's going to have things like your row headers, column headers, and that takes a lot of the work part out of building a report. Over here on the left-hand side are the components that we are going to need to build not only financial statements, which again is what we're going to focus on today, but we also can report off of different areas like AP, AR, customers, inventory, purchasing, etc., which we're going to get to momentarily. To start off, however, we are going to be focusing on the accounting area or things outside the general ledger. I do want to point out, because this does come up a lot, especially in the visual world up here where it says company, think of that as the database or database connection, and we can support as many different connections as you need. So that is a common question. If I have different data sources, are we able to report off of those? And the answer is yes. You're just going to tell us the ones you want to report off of, and we will now accommodate that as well as we go through here. So that's entirely up to you as we go through and build these particular reports. The next thing we're going to have are different fields that are available within Visual, and that's going to change depending on our functional area, whether that is accounting, AP, AR, etc. Right now, my functional area is accounting, and that is going to determine what's available below here. Now, the work of really building this type of report, our income statement, is telling the software what are the account or accounts that make up product sales, and we've got a great tool for that. So this is not an actual balance. This is a placeholder for what is called an accounting cell. And accounting cells are how we tell the software what are the account or accounts that we want to bring in balances for. And we've got a nice interface for that. When we click this window here, I call this the GL definition screen. This is how we're going to tell the software what are the account or accounts we want to bring in balances for. These question marks function as wildcards, which are quite powerful when it comes to report writing. So let's say I am looking for product sales, and I happen to know that's account 4010. We can bring down that here, and when we validate that, we can see there are 619 accounts that meet that criteria of product sales. Well, the advantage here is if on the visual side we were to add a new account for product sales and it follows that methodology of account 4010, it's not going to matter what department, location, sub account, division, etc. It's going to automatically be pulled in because of those wildcards. So we're automatically going to pull in everything. And then at runtime, we could run it for a particular division, department, etc. So the advantage here is we're going to build a report once as a template. And by utilizing these wildcards, then at runtime, we can determine if we want to see it for particular locations, divisions, etc. So once we validated that those are the correct accounts, we'll go ahead and apply that. We can always come back and make changes. The next thing we want to do is let it know, are we looking for actual numbers or maybe budget numbers? And then over here, maybe we want to do a variance. So this power of really the software here is that each one of these cells gets its own unique properties. So for our first cell here, we can pull in actual numbers, and we can also determine the time period. Do we want to see data for the month? Do we want to see the year, the quarter? Maybe you want to do a week, a day, user dates. We can do rolling, 12 months, whatever makes sense. It's entirely up to you. So let's say for this one, we want to do product sales for the month. And we're going to have this be the current month. And I'm going to insert a column here. And we're going to do this for the prior month. All we need to do is copy the cell over. And now what we'll do here is we have what's called an ending adjustment. This allows us to go backwards or forwards in time based off our report run date. So if we use today as an example, August 21st, and we were to run it for today, this first column here, and let's make this a 0, is going to give us data for this month, August. Well, I want to do the prior month here, so we're simply going to change this 0 to a -1, and now this is going to give us data for July. That would give us June, May, etc. We can go as far back as we have data in visual. So it's very powerful when we want to do month to month or year to year comparisons. And this one will stick with our -1. Now we want to do budget in the next one here. So we can just do a copy paste. And the only thing we really need to make different here is our source. So we'll change our source from actual to budget. And we do support as many different budget IDs as you have, whether it's best case, worst case, etc. In this case, we're going to go with the approved budget. You may have different categories, whether they're encumbered, unencumbered. And then the same thing, are you budgeting for the month? Are you doing the year, etc.? And then we can go backwards or forwards in time from there. And then just do a formula to take our actual minus our budget and get an idea of where we currently stand. So it very much has that Excel look and feel as far as the interface here. And again, really the work of building our financial statements is just telling us what are the account or accounts you want to see balances for. And we also have the ability to search your chart of accounts as well. So we can do a search here. We can view by different lookups that you may have. We can do different types. So lots of ways that we can tell the software of the account or accounts we want to bring in balances for. Once we've done that row by row, we would save our work and then run it, and then we would get the finished result over here that we could then filter, etc., etc. We can also, just to kind of show you here, report off of different areas outside the general ledger. So let's look at that and how we would do that now by changing our functional area here from accounting to something else. So let's go ahead and take a peek here at, say, inventory transactions. Notice right below now, my detail cells changed, and these are now pulling from the inventory transaction area. So let's say we want to do things, we'll start with the delivery date. As soon as we add that, you're going to see over here our properties. So now you may have heard the term cube in the past. We call them spheres. This is going to tell us what we're pulling from, in this case, the inventory transaction sphere. And then we can apply different filtering if we want to do it by, item number or product or anything else within here. We're going to be able to do that. We also have different properties here as far as date preferences. I mentioned delivery date, but we have a lot of options: move date, system date, product master date, and this will depend on what we pull in here. We give you a lot of what we kind of call standard or custom spheres. So if we look through those here, these different areas, so some examples: AP, AP summary, AR detail, AR summary, customer master, goods receiving, inventory, purchasing, purchase orders, products. So these come with the software, and as we click through these corresponding detail cells are also updating. So right now I'm in a purchasing sphere. So now if we wanted to look at our buyers, for instance, now I can see I'm in the purchase order sphere. We've got our different properties here. So these are all going to update based off what sphere I'm in, and then we'll have corresponding fields that we can bring in. Very intuitive as far as how you build these. It's all just either drag and drop functionality, and then you have the properties over here. Highly customizable. And so really the key thing we wanted to show you here is just how much is actually available within your different functional areas here. Again, you're not just limited to the accounting part. We do give you access to these other areas as well. And we also provide training. So that's a common thing. We're not just going to throw you in here and have you run blind. We're actually going to work through you, and we will record the training sessions with you. So as we build this out, we'll generally import that spreadsheet with you. We'll work with you to figure out the accounts we want to bring in balances for. Go ahead and get that all built out, and then we'll validate it with you to make sure the end result's right. We like our numbers, and we're happy with how it looks. So that's kind of a high level how we build these. And then once they're built, we can set up our shortcuts on the back end to our particular reports, dashboards, whatever it may be. And that's kind of one of the last things I want to show you is an example of, for instance, a CFO daily dashboard. And a dashboard can be made up of a number of different things. And the cool thing about ours is they're interactive. So this, for instance, is a little graph here. If I'm more of a chart person, we can turn this into a chart. Either way here, we can drill down into these. If we scroll down a little bit here, we can see our SG&A expenses. Same thing, whether it's rent, professional fees, travel. You can customize what these are if you want to see different expenses for different people. You can embed any of your financials, like our income statement, our actual budget forecast. This is going to have those same drill down capabilities. You can also embed, as you see here, a URL, whether that's your company website, directory, whatever makes sense. And everything I've shown you can also be automated. So we have a built-in scheduling tool that allows you to email, whether it's a report, a dashboard, a packet, kind of whatever makes sense there. You can set that up to automatically show up in your email in the morning, and you can have up to 3 versions, but 1 email. So you would get a PDF attachment, you'd get an Excel attachment, and then you would get an HTML link that would take you to the dashboard, the report, whatever it is you happen to be sending out, and then the end user can go in, do their drill downs, etc. So that's another big advantage. As far as distribution, you can use that automation tool, or if you're more, you want people to be more self-sufficient, you can do the on-demand option, and then your end user over here on the left would have access to whatever reports you've given them access to. They can run those on demand. They can set up their favorites. You can see their recent reports. And then whatever you've given them access to, they could just come in here and run those on demand. So lots of ways that people can consume and look at the information, again, whether it's financial, whether it's operational, whether it's a dashboard. We try to make it really easy to be able to consume and get the information that you need kind of right at your fingertips there. So, didn't want to throw too much at you today, but wanted to show you really everything that the software can do, and just let you know that, again, this is a full FP&A tool, but I've just been focusing mainly on the reporting side of things today. So with that, I just wanted to open it up and see if anyone had any questions I could answer for them.
So right now, so far, don't have any questions.
And just a couple of quick things that kind of commonly come up is, how we actually integrate with visual. And so it is a direct connection. So when we're in the designer screen here and we look at this list of these different companies or connections here, each one of these could be an individual visual database, and that is a direct connection to that database. It's not a data mart or anything like that. We can report off as many of these as you want, and that really helps eliminate that IT dependence on financial reporting. Users are able to come in here, as you saw. They can bring these accounting cells in on their own, and that's going to interface directly with your visual ERP. As far as your chart of accounts, we can support multiple chart of accounts. In fact, let me show you that. So let's say we did have, multiple charts of accounts or multiple companies here. By using this variable option here, what this allows us to do, now we have a list of different charts of accounts here. So here are all the different ones we could pull from, and they can be different lengths, they can be drastically different. And so we can pull in different chart of accounts, different from visual, different databases into the same report. And that really helps when it comes to things like consolidations there, and none of that needs any IT dependence. And so as far as implementation, it's typically our IT team will work with your IT team to do that initial install to make the connections to visual. About an hour is all that really takes, and we're ready to jump into that training. And then multiple people can collaborate on reports. You can have different versions of reports. We don't limit that in any way, shape, or form. And again, it is a real-time connection. And so as far as how often the data is updated, every time you hit the run button, that data is going to be updated in real time. So just wanted to bring that up as far as some of the kind of main questions we tend to get.
Actually, Robby, we have a question.
Sure.
How does Synoptix improve visibility into our visual financials compared to using visual ERP alone? So
that's a real good question.
Visual ERP and this module.
Yeah, and visual and a lot of other ERPs, they may have some form of reporting tool, but they don't tend to be nearly as robust or as user-friendly or interactive. And so what I mean by that is you're typically not going to have within here where it's not very easy to connect to multiple databases. We make that easy. But the other thing is, for instance, on the financial side, really this accounting cell becomes one of your best friends. And the reason for that, and let's just go back here, is how it interfaces with your chart of accounts, which is really this interface here. The fact that we're able to look it up, utilize wildcards, and build a report once and make it filterable. That's really one of the key advantages. You don't have to build a report, 20 times for 20 departments. We build that report once, and then at runtime, we're able to come in here and we can filter by, division, cost center, etc. So it saves you a lot of time in the end. And then from a maintenance perspective, by building logic into the reports, utilizing things like those wildcards, that ensures if you do add a new account on the visual side, it's going to automatically be picked up, and you don't have to worry about if you're getting all the numbers or not.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. And there's another question, which that's one of the aspects that we market this webinar, and it's a great question. Could you explain why Synoptix eliminates IT dependence? So, mhm,
Yeah, that's a real good question. So, and it's a common one too. And I think initially we get a lot of skepticism on that because people say, yeah, I heard that before. So, what kind of happens on the back end? The only thing we really need IT help with is when we very first set up the connection here, we create two databases. One stores all of your reports, and then we make a connection on the visual side. So we would just add a new connection, and let's just call this, visual. Oops, up here. And as you're going to see here, we have a lot of what are called host packages. This is what's going to eliminate that IT dependence because we've already done all of the work, whether you're Visual Global, Oracle, SQL, 7.1, pre 7.1, post 7.1. It doesn't matter. We've already done the work to make all of those connections on the back end. So you just tell us which one it is, where the database lives, and you're good. It is a real-time connection. So once that is set up on the back end, IT does not need to be involved because what happens once we have a report, we're just running queries in the background directly against the database. But just to reiterate, it is read-only access. So what that really means, we're querying the database. These numbers are coming from the database, but there's nothing you can do here or anywhere else in the software that's going to change or manipulate that data in any way, shape, or form. So every time we come here and hit that run button to rerun this report, these numbers are updated in real time. And because the interface here very much mirrors what's in Excel, and that's what people are used to, it doesn't require a lot of training. Generally, I have found in my experience after, 2 to 3 2-hour training sessions with me or one of my colleagues, you're good. You're ready to create reports from scratch. You can modify existing reports. And because this has that Excel look and feel and interface, you don't need to know how to write queries on the background or anything like that. That is just going to happen automatically when you hit that run button. And so, that does eliminate, needing to go to IT. And because we've already done all the mapping for these other areas like customer inventory purchasing, that's done. That would be the IT work that you generally need to do in other tools. We've already done that work for you.
okay, thank
Good
you,
question.
Robby. Uh, Please let us know if you have any question. We still have a little bit time, so before we move on, we can answer.
Yeah, and no problem if not. I know yes, maybe book for 45. I know I like to leave a little time in case there are questions, but if there aren't, I'm always happy to give people a few minutes back in their day too.
Mhm.
And maybe you can let them know kind of if they're are interested in moving forward. I believe they would go through their Infor rep, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
Sorry?
So if people were interested, wanted to learn more, etc., would their next step be to reach out to their Infor rep or ESS rep? So people were interested in learning more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it seems like we don't have any question at this point.
Okay. Well, if you don't, that is quite all right. I certainly appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today and look through the tool. Once again, if you are interested in learning more, we're happy to meet with you, one-on-one. We can dive into more the different aspects as far as the budgeting side of things, the full FP&A solution. Again, today, just wanted to focus on mainly the financial reporting side of things. But as we touched on, we can also report off of those other areas as well. So that's all I had today, unless you had anything else, Con.
No, if you have any question, please let us know, and please don't forget to check our upcoming events page. So we have a lot of events upcoming, and we will be glad to have you. Okay, thank you so much, Robby. It was a great presentation, and so we can close now. And have a great day, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much. Have a good one. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.